Hello, dear professor and my dear friends. Today I want to talk about my most important professional development course that led me to other professional development paths. So I will talk about my CELTA and how this course helped me to get into the path of action research and also curriculum development. First, I share my screen. Yes, I think I am sharing my screen. So I start to don't lose any time of this 15 minutes to give a background. After teaching for around 10 years of all ages, so I had adult classes that they were above 18 years of age. And mostly I had teenager classes that they were between 16 to 18 or 19 years of age. And also I have always had classes for young learners, children, and students that are in the age of going to school, that they were my favorite part. I always try to be creative and cared a lot about this age. So in the institute that I've been working for a while, I become supervisor of the kids department. At that point, it came to my mind, I need something more than local teacher training and professional development programs. I searched and I got introduced to TEFL, TESOL, and CELTA. But CELTA was the most accredited certificate. And during this presentation, we understand why I chose this course and how it impacted. First of all, to give a general feedback, it was really life-changing. It was above all local teacher training. And I think and believe it is more than TESOL because TESOL is usually happening locally rather than the official one. But CELTA centers are all unitedly working under the standards of Cambridge. I studied my CELTA took place in Izmir, University of Economy in 2018 for an intense course of 4 weeks. I received many detailed feedbacks that it is the strength part of this professional development program. And I got introduced to my strengths and weaknesses. One of the most heartwarming moments were when I received above standard. All others were to the standards, and three of my feedbacks get to the point of above standard. And it was such a huge success for me personally, and I felt really um, to be on the right track because when I started, my first demo was full of mistakes and problems. So I was working so hard. To have an overlook on if this course is traditional or visionary, I don't think I can really locate CELTA on any of these parts because it is a combination. First of all, it can be considered traditional because it has a structured curriculum. It has a set of sessions, inputs and outputs, inputs and demos and all these things. But also we had input sessions that they were inquiry based, so it can be also fall into visionary part. And not always, to some extent, sometimes maybe the ideas were prescriptive that, teaching there is no best way. And when actually during our sessions with Professor Fatush Hoca, we had that delta is more flexible and there is no definite answer, but CELTA is more like to the framework. So I think it can be a little bit traditional because of prescriptive ideas. I think the methods were varied and really to the point. And I think our assessment mostly were proactive, so it defined it as visionary, but also it was generally more top-down decision making, so it can be also traditional. Freeman defines this kind of courses such as CELTA as an alternative way to be prepared as a teacher rather than teachers' certification systems based on the government policies or tertiary institutions like academic paths. Also, there is another study that approved these points that calls the aim of the short initial teacher education courses that CELTA falls into this category is to equip teachers with a knowledge base which can be applied regardless of geographical location. So CELTA or TESOL, if it is accredited, they are international. The things that you can learn is not limited to the policies of the government of a country. So in this regard, it shows how valuable they are. The other study recently by Anderson, 2020, called CELTA one of the most popular per-service English teaching courses. That is one of the biggest reasons. At the beginning, I was saying that I chose CELTA, although it was more expensive than other certifications. So two concepts became kind of the core of this presentation for me. The impact of CELTA on motivation and on teacher identity. A little bit I searched and I found a recent study regarding CELTA and teacher identity. Based on this study and the participations, CELTA is more constrained and is not that much long course to show a remarkable teacher identity change. But I beg to differ. For me, CELTA was the most important uh, starting point of change in my teacher identity. So maybe on that 4 weeks after that, I started changing gradually, but I owe it to CELTA. Okay, on motivation, the study shows that it's mostly working on extrinsic motivation, the relationship between CELTA and motivation. For me also, it was eccentric motivation. I wanted to, like the participants in the study, I wanted to secure a good and better job opportunity or secure the supervisor position that I had. But motivation is a very complex concept. So when I started learning during CERTA and my consciousness and my learning expanded, my knowledge expanded, and I see teaching from a different perspective, I think it was after that it started to be also intrinsic, that it continued until now. So why CELTA? Because CELTA gives best intense knowledge of methodologies we can use to teach English to speakers of another languages rather than English. Because it is practical, it's not just academic theories. And also the level of stress, yes, in CELTA is high, but in comparison to in-service trainings that you're sitting next to your colleagues, that your manager is attending, it's not that much a kind of pressure because you are learning and enjoying and having a multicultural environment with other friends that you make, and you're expanding your network. These are really important positive parts of CELTA. The feedback, the reflection that you learn to give after each demo, after each teacher practice, they are really high, to the point, and detailed. It really increased the opportunities to get a better job and work internationally. And the way that you learn what is lesson planning in CELTA is not comparable to what, at least in my case, what I knew beforehand. What CELTA didn't give me, based on e-grade, language awareness, and the level of English teacher to be C1 and above is a really important point. But CELTA is focused on how to teach. Although we had one input session on phonology, but it could have been expanded. Learners need, yes, CELTA covers learners need, but it's not enough because after CELTA, I thought, okay, I have 10 years of experience and I have gotten the best certificate in ESL. But when I started working in a different context, in a foreign context, I saw I don't know learners' need in this context, so I have to keep improving myself. It wasn't the ending point. I think CELTA also could be more. It had learners need, especially because I studied in Turkey. We had articles to study about Turkish learners need, but we didn't cover on psychological part, and maybe classroom management could have been more trendy issues like learners' autonomy, like multilingual in ESL classroom, the role of multilingualism in ESL classroom, like inclusive learning, they haven't been in the CELTA that I have passed, and they are really necessary. So I continue to the next part. Regarding the last point, multilingualism and CELTA, I searched a little bit. There's a recent study that shows that still CELTA tutors are really restrictive regarding this issue. But right now, there are many articles that they are proving that like covering L1 helps to development of L2. But CELTA is more monolingual attitude. I don't I don't want to say that we should speak first language. Maybe if we are teaching in an international context, or there are right now many classes in American schools that half of the students are Spanish and half are English. So we should have techniques that the teacher, without using L1, support the students with using their L1 to develop their L2. There are techniques, there are many solutions for it that it wasn't covered in CELTA. After CELTA, I gained confidence and I knew methodology and the flow of the lesson professionally. So wherever I worked, one of the most important issues to show the success of a professional development program, I had a very successful students. They show a big change. And it wasn't because of me, it was because of techniques, because the standards of a language class. Here are other professional development programs that they came as complementary to CELTA. Future Learn that are by British universities, edX by American universities and British Council. Here it is, okay, that is the title. How effective? I think it is, CELTA is effective. Here I have covered some points that can evaluate a PD program based on the lessons that we had together in the class. I think to a great extent, CELTA is sustainable because you're constantly being assessed, and it depends to your personal characteristic, to how much you continue this improvement, how much you keep yourself refreshed. But I can see in myself and especially in my friends from CELTA, it is sustainable. Like 3 years after CELTA, I was having common project with the friends from CELTA, and I saw how much detail from lesson planning they can remember that I had also forget. So I think it's sustainable. The other important issue on PD success is the effects on the students' learning. I think those who have CELTA, they teach way different from those who have academic degree. And CELTA helps you to adjust the material very well. And this helped me to find another path of teacher development that I will explain. And also, the last point is related to second one. Students' engagement goes to a great extent higher for the teachers who have passed CELTA. I'm sorry. What CELTA didn't cover for me? No coping skills for burnouts. That is very common for teachers. How to be resilient, how to keep your motivation that you can lose because of different issues like policies, the way you are being behaved, complaints from students. I can see that I have passed my 15 minutes. I have to go a bit faster. So after CELTA, I went through a disappointment period because I expected to improve more, but still I was just a teacher, primary teacher. But then I found my own way to work with my children that are my favorite group of teaching and also develop myself. First, I show a lot of attention to a program from a Pearson company to our school that wanted basically our ideas about their course books. I use my knowledge from CELTA and experience, and I combine it with great attention. And then they nominated me to be officially work on the as a reviewer on their course books for the new edition. Here, I started reading books about what is a suitable course book for what age, what should it cover, what not, and it developed me. After that, I was working in high school and I applied an action research. For this action research, I should have designed an intervention. And in this intervention, I need to design and teach students how to be metacognitive based on the scenarios. The steps of CELTA help me a lot to teach these scenarios. And I use the standard scale to evaluate their critical thinking skills after being metacognitive. There's no time that I explain all the details here, but the abstract was accepted by Titusol, and I was a speaker of in this conference. I guess I should stop it here. Here are my references. Thank you so much.